Hello and welcome to the next instalment of my wardrobe review series. I had fully intended on this one being dresses, but I left it far too long and we're now in October. There has been a significant seasonal shift, so it seems a lot more appropriate to talk about coats. So I do apologise to those of you who are in the southern hemisphere and you're now getting ready to go into summer. This might not be that useful for you. I have a lot of coats to talk about. I have a grand total of 17 coats to get through. I whittled that down from, I think it was like 23. I got to 23 coats and just thought there's no way I can talk about this many coats in under an hour. The video will follow the same format as the last two videos. I've slightly tweaked it because I'm talking about clothes rather than shoes and accessories, so I'll be talking about them in a slightly different way. But I will start off with the brand, the name of the coat, how much I paid for it, when and where I bought it. Then I'll move on to the fun stuff, which is the size, the fit and the styling. Then I'll go into material, then it's quality versus price, and then would I repurchase if lost or stolen. Okay, the first coat I'm going to start with is the Uniqlo U men's BLOCKTECH coat. If you follow me on Instagram, you will have seen this coat many times. I've worn it so much in the past year. I bought it for £89.90 back in November, directly through the Uniqlo website. Now, just a little thing that I want to add is in each section I'll talk about the size range that brand offers, just for size inclusivity purposes. Looking at the men's coats and the men's section in general on Uniqlo, they tend to run from XS to 4XL, which I think for the high street is quite a broad spectrum. It's very rare I see a brand go above XL or XXL. So to see a brand go up to 4XL I think is really good, and that feels like a very broad spectrum versus the usual extra small to extra large. I went for an extra small in this because it is a very, well, it's not very oversized, but it is an oversized style because it is a men's coat. So size, fit and styling. The fit is a very classic straight up and down car coat. It's got a raglan sleeve, which is great for women, I feel. I mean, if you want that boxy shoulder, that's fine, but sometimes with men's coats, the shoulders are just too broad and they often have quite a bit of padding in them, and on me, because I'm quite short and petite, it just doesn't look right half the time. So the raglan sleeve is much softer, much more flattering, and it doesn't necessarily look like a men's coat because of that, which is quite good. Like I said, straight up and down, it's single-breasted, a very classic collar. It has a sort of, a very subtle curved sleeve. The sleeves on me were slightly too long, so I had to turn them in and then just iron a crease so that the turn in would stay in. Not much else in the way of detail. There is a vent on the back that can be closed shut with a button. There are also two pockets. But yeah, it's a very classic looking coat, and in terms of styling it's very self-explanatory. I've not found it difficult at all. It's the kind of coat that as soon as autumn comes round, I will just grab and chuck on over whatever I'm wearing. My preferred way to wear it is with black straight trousers and my black DMs and black socks and then black accessories, because the colour, I don't know how it's showing up on camera, it looks a little bit purple in the viewfinder, but the colour's very unusual. It's not quite blue, it's not quite grey, it's like a petrol blue. So with black it looks really good. Material. The coat is 67% polyester, 33% wool. It's part of the BLOCKTECH range that Uniqlo do, so that usually means it's waterproof and windproof. This coat feels waterproof and feels like a waterproof coat. It's almost like I don't think you're going to be able to see on the screen. I'll do a close-up cutaway. It feels like a thick cotton twill. It's got a very twill-like texture to it, and then it's coated with a water-repellent coating. And then inside, it feels almost rubbery, and all of the seams have got water-stop tape on them. And I have worn this out in the rain a few times and I've been fine. Nothing's leaked or anything. It is a fully waterproof coat. So it's very practical in that sense, and it feels really good quality. It feels a lot more expensive than a £90 coat. That kind of takes me on to quality versus price. The quality surpasses the price completely. I think it feels way more premium than a £90 Uniqlo coat. And I think that's down to it being part of the Uniqlo U range, which is a collaboration between Uniqlo and La Mer. So it has that La Mer vibe. And I think on first glance you think, oh, that's a La Mer coat or a much more expensive coat. And often when people have asked where's it from and I say Uniqlo, they're quite surprised. So I would 100% say that the quality is reflected in the price, but it's actually better than the price. I don't feel like this is a coat, sorry my arm, I don't feel like this is a coat that's going to age because it's very classic, it's very timeless, but I don't think it's a coat that's going to age in terms of looking aged. I can't see this getting really raggedy and old looking. I mean, I've had this for a year and it still looks brand new. So the quality feels really good, and it feels like a coat that I will have for years and years to come. Would I repurchase if lost or stolen? Absolutely. In a heartbeat, I would 100% repurchase this again. The next coat I have is the Arket Puffer. Now this is the original puffer that they launched back in 2018. They gifted it to me as part of the launch. So the puffer that you see in my hand now will be different to the puffer jacket that is available online currently, because each year they've tweaked it and improved it ever so slightly. When they gifted this to me, at that time I think this retailed at £180 and now retails at £225. But again, I think that's because they've just improved it as the years have gone on. Size-wise, terrible. This particular style only goes from extra small to large. It doesn't even go to an XL, which is shocking. It is not good enough at all to only offer a piece of outerwear in 4 sizes, especially because this isn't even a particularly oversized style. I found it particularly true to size. So to just offer 4 sizes that are true to size is really bad. I'm wearing an extra small. Pretty sure it's an extra small. I couldn't find a size label. It would be an extra small or a 34. The the fit of it is fairly standard. It's a very straight up and down jacket. Like I said, I found it fairly true to size. What you see is what you get with it, really. There's a black zip. There's an elasticated adjustable bit on the hood. It's got pockets. It's got some poppers on the side if you want to wear those slightly open or closed. There's not really any bells and whistles or any fancy features. It is just a very generic black puffer jacket. I'm not sure if the updated version maybe has some slightly more interesting elements to it. Styling wise, it's a really fun jacket to style, and I think that is down to its length and the proportions, especially on me because I'm only 5'3", so it's very fun to play around with the proportions of this jacket. Normally I think when we think of puffers we think of something cropped or a bit more mid-length, but this is very long on me. I remember when I first bought it, I wore it mostly with, like, if I was wearing it more casually, I wore it with slim leg jeans and my Grenson Nanette boots endlessly and a beanie. But then if I wanted to make it a little bit more high fashion, make it feel a little bit more dynamic, I liked wearing it with tailored trousers and my Calvin Klein boots. So I think it's a really great jacket to just play around with across the board, both casually and dressing it up. I think it's very fun to make it a bit high fashion, but then also if you're just having a day where you're just like, oh, I've got jeans and boots on, I just need to be warm, this jacket is awesome. And I actually love how long it is and how just like huge it looks on me. I think the outer is polyester, but inside is a product called Redown, which is all 100% recycled feather and down. The down's collected from things like duvets and sleeping bags. So yeah, it's all 100% recycled. It's, I don't want to use the words like flimsy or thin, because I feel like that takes away from how warm the jacket is, because it is a very warm jacket. But sometimes with puffer jackets they can be really puffy and quite stiff. This isn't like that. It's much more of a thin, lightweight puff. I mean, it does look very puffy, as you can see here, and when I'm wearing it, it has got a lovely puff to it, but it is quite thin and lightweight. But that doesn't detract from how warm it's kept me Whenever it snows or it gets absolutely freezing outside, this is brilliant. And it's not the type of coat that you have to layer up underneath because it does keep you so warm. I would often go out with just a Uniqlo heat tech vest on, a merino wool jumper or turtleneck, a beanie, and then this coat, and I would be fine. So I think it's really great that you don't have to bundle up underneath it. The jacket really does all the work for you. Quality versus price. So like I said, I think when this particular version of the jacket was released, it was about 180. So I can't really attest for the 225 price tag that it currently has, but I do think £180 for a puffer jacket is a very good price. I think the quality is very reflective of the price. I think they're very on par with each other. I wouldn't say this feels like a really, really, really premium puffer jacket, but it feels like a £200 high street puffer jacket to me, I think. I haven't had any issues with the quality in terms of things falling apart or stitching coming undone. And I feel like Arket across the board, I've not had any issues with. I do think the quality of the brand for a high street brand is very, very good, especially because I've worn this so much since I acquired it 2 years ago, and it's still in perfect condition. I've had no issues with it whatsoever, which I think is great. So I do think the quality and the price are completely level with each other, 100%. But I would be interested to see the newer version of this up close and see how it feels versus the 225 price tag. Would I repurchase if lost or stolen? Definitely. I've had so much wear out of this, and what I've really enjoyed about this is that it's a very, very practical jacket that doesn't compromise on style. I think often when we think of practical jackets, we think of something from like Berghaus or, you know, I can't even think of one off the top of my head, that just aren't really reflective of our style. Like I always think, how am I going to be practical while still feeling like myself? So this jacket's great for that. I do feel like I'm not compromising on my style or how I want to dress, and I'm still keeping warm. So yeah, I definitely repurchase. I'm really excited to talk about the next coat because it's one of my favourite coats at the moment. It is the Castle Original Rubber Below Coat. That's what the brand calls it. Oh, such a beauty. So I purchased this in September 2019 for £637, and I bought it through Net-a-Porter when they had their 15% off. They sometimes do these random weekends where they have 15% off everything. So I made use of it because this jacket originally retails, it can be anywhere between sort of £700 to £800 depending on where you buy it from. If you are looking to buy a Castle coat, I really recommend shopping around because the prices vary so much. So really dig around to have a look for the best price first before you settle on buying one. Size and fit. So Castle run from extra small to large, which on paper sounds terrible, again, 4 sizes. However, Castle are extremely oversized and there is quite a big jump between each size. So those 4 sizes do cover quite a broad spectrum of sizing, basically. I have an extra small in Castle coats because they are so oversized. The small Castle encourage you to wear them very oversized and relaxed, but when you're 5'3", you have to be quite careful with playing with kind of very oversized proportions. So I found that the extra small is the best size for me. The fit is a very classic straight up and down fit. Like I said, it's quite oversized and very sculptural. I think because of the material, it sits beautifully on the body and creates some really beautiful shapes and very beautiful fluid lines. But the general gist of it is very, very standard, you know, single-breasted. You've got a very simple collar here. The sleeves are ever so slightly curved. Yeah, what you see is what you get. But I think it's the craftsmanship and the very subtle cut of it. It's a raglan sleeve again, which is what the Uniqlo U coat was, which again is I find great for me when I'm playing around with oversized styles. If it's got a raglan sleeve, that tends to be more flattering for me. It has, I don't know what this is called. I was going to say double lapel, but I don't think that's the correct term. Double, yoke. That's shoes, isn't it? Anyway, it's got this double bit here, so when you button it up, it almost acts a little bit of a draft excluder. Inside, you've got the water stop tape again, so this is a fully waterproof coat. The material is rubber. It is a mix of polyester and polyurethane. So like I said, 100% waterproof, very, very easy to clean. Styling wise, when I first bought this, I was like, I've bought an orange coat. What am I doing? I've never ever worn orange. Am I mad? Should I be doing this? But I guess it acts as a neutral. It is on that neutral spectrum. I don't know how it's going to show up on camera. It's not bright orange, it's a camel orange, but it's still a colour that I hadn't really played with before, so I was a bit like, oh, this could be sent back, but actually it's been great. It's a very, very good one for black, cream, looks really good with white, looks great with navy, also looks lovely with like forest green. That's a colour that it looks really good with. So surprisingly, a very easy coat to style. It is a really good one if you're wearing, because I've said before, like there are times where I feel like I do dress in a boring way, like I'm so minimal that it just comes across as a little bit dull. If I'm having a day where it's just black trousers and a t-shirt, just throw this over the top and this does all the work, completely lifts an outfit in a matter of seconds. So it's very, very good for that. This is a showstopper piece that you could just pop over a very plain outfit and instantly feel like it's elevated. So I love it for that. And just to let you all know, I have recently acquired another Castle rubber coat in a new colour. This is part of the Autumn Winter 20 collection, and the colour is dark chocolate. It looks a little bit burgundy on the camera, but it is maybe it just has a slight hint of purple to it, but it is a very true dark chocolate colour, and it is absolutely divine. But I will talk about this a little bit more in a vlog that's coming up, because this is part of a sponsored, a little bit of a sponsorship thing coming up soon. So yeah, styling wise, I do find it a relatively easy coat, and it hits me about shin length again, kind of similar to that Uniqlo U coat. So again, it's playing with those big shapes that are slightly off proportion for my height that I quite enjoy doing. That will be like a regular pattern with coats, you will see. Quality versus price, I do have to say the cut, the craftsmanship, the finish of Castle coats is outstanding. It's absolutely beautiful. When I first bought this one, I was just sat staring at it for so long. The detail is, oh, it's beautiful. It's really, really subtle things. For example, the way the buttonholes are laser cut and just the way in which they are cut. There's some really beautiful details. Again, more laser cutting. The stitching is just divine. There is not a single stitch out of place. It is all absolutely exquisite. You know, you look at this, you really inspect it, and you think that's a beautiful piece of craftsmanship. They are expensive coats, however. I do think they are very, very expensive. But like I said, you are getting a very good quality item. One thing I will say is, do look out for Castle coats in the sale, because I recently bought one that I will talk about next for £300, and it was meant to be £1,200 in the Harvey Nichols sale. So when there are sales on, look out for Castle coats, because they do tend to get discounted at a really, really good percentage off. So I do think the quality versus price is that they are on par with each other. I'm not sure about some of the coats that are maybe £1,000 plus, but yeah, I do think you are getting an exceptionally premium coat here. So I do think they are quite aligned with each other. Would I repurchase if lost or stolen? Yes, absolutely. I'd be heartbroken if it was lost or stolen, and that will be like a general pattern with coats. The coats I talk about, I love them so much, I'd be so gutted to leave any of them, but I would dig around in the sales if I was to repurchase, I reckon. I'm just going to quickly touch on another Castle coat that I've got. As mentioned, I acquired this navy cotton one in the Harvey Nichols sale for the grand sum of £300, down from £1,200. So same info as the previous coat, same attributes in terms of sizing and fit and things like that, but obviously the material's different for this. So this is a cotton and polyurethane blend. The feel of it, obviously it feels like a cotton jacket, but it does feel like it's got a slight coating to it. I don't think it's fully waterproof, maybe showerproof, but I'm wondering if that poly blend with the cotton is giving it that slightly coated feeling. I quite like it because it makes it feel quite stiff. The style is pretty much identical to the rubber one. I think it's ever so slightly longer, but it's got all the same fastenings and everything. The only difference between this one is we have a detachable hood, which I probably should have put, like, actually attached on before I started talking. There we go, hood on. You can kind of see how it looks. There'll also be cutaways as well, so you'll be seeing how it looks. Styling wise, I mean, it's a navy trench coat. I mean, do I need to say any more? It is my dream coat pretty much. I love navy, I love trench coats, I love anything that's got that slightly sculptural look to it. So this, I mean, it's in the same vein as the Uniqlo coat. It gets chucked over many outfits. I particularly like to do a full navy look. I've got the navy Sandro trousers along with my navy Andorra jumper and my off-white Supergas. That's one of my favourite ways to wear it. I love a full head to toe navy, obviously not my shoes, but in terms of my clothing, that's one of my favourite ways to wear it. It feels a little bit more relaxed and a little bit more casual than the rubber jackets. It's one of those coats that it does, when I put it over a plain outfit, it does give it something, but not in the same way that the rubber coats do. It's not as much of a showstopper. The quality versus price. Now, originally retails at £1,200, which is, that's a lot of money, and I am unsure whether, like, the quality, like I said, is outstanding of these coats, but I don't know if it warrants a £1,200 price tag, especially when the rubber ones are £700. But then I guess it's a lot quicker, easier and cheaper to produce that rubber material than it is this cotton poly blend. So I get that, in that there's probably the sourcing of the material, there's a lot more work that goes into this material, but still a £1,200 price tag. I mean, £300, yeah, sure. When I saw this for 300, I was like, that is a steal for the quality of that coat. So I don't think the quality versus the price is quite there. You know, you get to a certain price point and you're just like, come on guys, you know, why is it that much? But it is a good quality price, so it's a hard one to say, and it will be interesting to see how I feel about that maybe in a year's time, to see how this coat has worn in. Maybe then I'll be able to do a bit more of a truer reflection of that. So would I repurchase if lost or stolen? I would be gutted if it was lost or stolen, and I would definitely want it back, but I would be hunting down for it in the sale. I wouldn't be buying it full price. Next, I have two trench coats from Acne. They're not identical, but they're very similar, so I've included them as kind of one thing to chat about. So, it doesn't have a name. I've just put Acne trench coat because I couldn't find the exact name for it. I also cannot remember the price of this coat either. I want to say it was around about the £650 or £700 mark, and I bought it. Why have I not written down when I bought this? Just going through my Instagram to try and track down when I first acquired it. November 2018, I think, is when I first bought it. That's when I first posted about it on Instagram, so it was definitely 2018 when I bought it. In terms of sizing with Acne, they tend to run from extra small to extra large, or they run from sizes 32 to 40. However, I've seen that they've recently introduced a size 30. So with Acne, their clothing does tend to be quite oversized, which is why they've probably introduced a size 30. And I'd say that is a broad spectrum, extra small to extra large, but it's still it is still limiting, especially because if they're doing extra small, could they not do extra large as well? But like I said, a lot of Acne, especially their blazers and their outerwear, and then especially their knitwear, is exceptionally oversized. There are times where the extra small is too big for me. So yeah, although they only go up to an extra large, that size extra large will be more oversized, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm actually making any sense there. I went for a size 32 in this. I tend to always go for a size 32 in Acne outerwear. It's a trench coat, but always with a little Acne spin on things. They never do things that classic. They always have to do their own little twist. So it's got all of this silver hardware. It's double-breasted, but it's like double-breasted popper. When in the cutaways, you'll be able to see this so much easier. It's such a long jacket and there's so much material. It's really hard to demonstrate here, lifted up. It has adjustable poppers on the wrist here. What else have we got? Very nice fastening at the collar here, so you can have it completely all buttoned up, double-breasted, and then fastened at the collar. It has a tie waist. It has a vent at the back, which you can have open or poppered close. It has 2 pockets either side. You've got 1 pocket on one side. You can see that there. And then you have 2 pockets on this side. You've got a popper one, and then you've kind of got a little discreet one. They're very deep pockets. And then you've got the, why can I not remember what these are called? But you know what I mean. Then inside we have this beautiful, this coat. There's so much fabric and it's so heavy, it's actually quite hard to keep it lifted up. Beautiful tartan lining, and then you've got this massive Acne Studios label here. So they're all the main features of the coat. I do think it is a beautiful fitting coat. It is a very classic trench shape to it. There's nothing odd about the shape. Again, we have the, I've only just noticed this when filming this video, but like, again, we have the Raglan Sleeve. Although you have this, there's no sharp shoulder pad there or anything. It's still that drop shoulder. Definitely a recurring pattern here. Styling wise, it's a trench, so it's not difficult. I think the only thing I've struggled with the styling is that there is a lot of fabric at the front here. So I'd either have to, it's very hard to wear open because the fabric just naturally falls to the front. So I would sometimes wear it just buttoned up. I just found it easier to do that way because there'd just be so much fabric flapping around and you wouldn't actually be able to see your outfit underneath. It's a very, very neutral beige. I think it's on the darker side of the sort of trench beige that we often think of. It's got it's a very warm, like almost yellowy undertoned trench. But other than that, I don't have any complaints in terms of the styling. I did have to get the waist belt shortened because it touched the floor, it dragged the floor. It was so long, and I spoke to a few people who are taller than me that also own the trench coat, and even they had the problem. So I think Acne just went a bit too far with the belt. It was far too long and it would just constantly drag across the floor and it would get dirty. So eventually I just took it to a tailor and just said, right, we need to chop off quite a few inches of this. It's 100% cotton. Like I said, it is heavy. There's a lot of fabric here. It almost feels like a brushed cotton. It's very, very soft, so it's not waterproof in the slightest. This inside is also 100% cotton and it's so soft. Like it's a very comfortable coat to wear because it is so soft. I always vouch for Acne's quality. I do think the quality of Acne is brilliant. I love their trousers, I love their knitwear, and I love their coats, I love their bags. I have always been very, very happy to pay the price of Acne, but their prices really fluctuate. So this coat, like I said, I think was around about the £700 mark. which I think is quite affordable for an acne coat because some of the coats can be double that price. So I do think the quality is definitely there with the price. However, if this is a coat that, you know, piques your interest, definitely try Vestiaire, because I remember, maybe it was last year at some point, I met up with Estee and I was wearing this coat and she was like, I really, really want that coat. And I was like, get yourself on Vestiaire because there's quite a few on there. And she managed to get it on Vestiaire for a really, really good price. So with Acne outerwear, or acne in general, always check Vestiaire Collective, I think, before buying. I do have a success story coming up that I will tell you about. I'm going to show you the navy version. It's not 100% identical, but the shape is the same. It's a very similar design, but a few things have been tweaked. So we've got a zip down the front. There is also the adjustable bits on the cuffs, 2 side pockets. It has that fastener at the top on the collar like the beige one does. What else? Also the Raglan sleeve again. Got the waist belt, but the biggest difference with this one is it has these huge billowy vents that you can clip together if you so desire. But I'd say that's the biggest difference. It's a lot more flappier. There's a lot more going on at the bottom here, which you will be able to see in the cutaways. This is also waterproof. So whereas that one's 100% cotton, this one is polyester. So yeah, it's 100% waterproof, and it is still quite heavy actually. I was about to say it's a bit lighter, but actually no, it is quite a heavy coat, but it's the fit is all the same. I think I got a 32 in this one as well. I got this through Matches, I think. Now this one was 850, so it was a little bit more expensive than the beige one, and I do think it's a little bit on the pricey side, especially because there is polyester in this coat, but then again it is a lot more practical than that one, and I do feel like I have had more wear out of this one than the beige one. Would I repurchase if this was lost or stolen? Do you know what? I probably wouldn't, and that is because I have the Castle one, and I think I prefer that one to this one. They're very, very different coats, but at the end of the day, they are navy coats, and if I had to keep one, it would be the Castle one versus this one, because I also think this one doesn't fit quite as nicely as the Castle one. So with this one, no, I don't think I would repurchase if lost or stolen. However, if it popped up on Vestiaire Collective for a good price, potentially, but I wouldn't buy it brand new. This next acne coat is quite a special one to me. It was my first proper high-end designer piece of outerwear, I think, or it was my most expensive coat at the time, and I just remember being absolutely beside myself because I couldn't quite believe that I owned this coat. So I can't remember the exact name of this coat. I bought it on Vestiaire. Oh, the name will be inside because Acne always put the names on the labels. Where's the label? I think it was called like the double face cashmere. I can't find the label on it. Yeah, I feel like it was called the double face cashmere coat, and I found it on Vestiaire Collective for £547. It originally retailed for £1,100. Now I bought this in 2016, and I remember fawning over this coat so much, and I just thought, I will never ever ever be able to buy a coat that's £1,100. So I scoured Vestiaire Collective for so long and finally found it for £547. And yeah, absolutely fell in love with it. This size on this one would, I think, is a 32 or a 34. There must be, oh, here's the label. Yes, it's called the Foyne Double, and this is a size 32. Fit of this coat feels very, very different to the styles I wear now, for sure. But in no way feels dated. It still feels very, very classic. I don't know, maybe I just went off this sort of like fit of coat, but since trying it on for this video, it's definitely rekindled my love for it again. I think sometimes you get so used to wearing a certain shape or a certain style over and over and over, you don't think, you kind of get tunnel vision and you don't think you can wear anything else. So when I put this back on again, I was like, oh, this coat is really, really good and I should wear it more often. So it's very straight up and down. It's extremely classic. You know, there's not a lot going on here. We've got a lovely slimline lapel, these really deep pockets. Rather than traditional button fastening, it has this very unusual silver like D-ring that clips on to this side. And this is what really drew me to the coat, I think, was just this very simple but unusual element that I hadn't seen before, and just fell in love with it and just thought it was such a sophisticated design and loved it so much. Styling wise, I mean, back when I used to wear it a lot, I wore it with everything. I loved wearing it with all navy underneath, or I loved wearing it with a really slim black outfit and then Chelsea boots. That was another way I used to love wearing it. I wore it a lot. It was a very great coat, and I think just as my style slightly changed, I just didn't reach for it as much and started going towards slightly more sculptural, slightly more oversized styles. But I feel such an urge to get this back out again and start styling it again. So this might be something that you start to see more often. Who knows? So material is 85% wool, 15% cashmere, so it's very, very soft. It's very luxurious feeling, which is why it was £1,100. Well, that's why the retail price was £1,100. There is no lining inside whatsoever, which also makes a coat's price skyrocket, because when a coat isn't lined, it means that there is no hiding behind any lining. The stitching, the craftsmanship, everything, it has to be perfect because you can see it all. The craftsmanship with this is exquisite. It is a beautiful, beautiful piece and just stunning to look at. The quality versus price, again, for an £1,100 coat, I do think it is beautiful. I do think the quality is very, very good. The price that I paid for it though, yeah, £547, great. Very, very happy. Any coat that I guess has cashmere in is going to be expensive. Any coat that is 100% wool and unlined is going to be expensive. So yeah, I do think the quality versus price is on level. I do think they both reflect each other very well. Would I repurchase again if lost or stolen? Had you have asked me that maybe like a month ago, I'd be like, no. But now I've got it back out of my wardrobe, I'm like, oh, actually, I love it and I wouldn't want it to go anywhere. So yeah, mixed feelings about that question at the moment. Ask me again in a month when I've tried to restyle it and bring it back out. What do we have here? Another trench. Surprise, surprise. This one is from COS. I bought this in the sale last summer and I think I bought it for around £85. I think originally it would have been over £100 because that's the general cost of a COS coat, I feel, is always above the £100 mark. COS sizing runs from 32 to 44, which I personally think is a very standard high street sizing. It's not particularly inclusive. It's not wide enough, it's not good enough. It's just a general high street sizing really, isn't it? I guess the small argument maybe is that COS is very oversized, so that 44 could be seen as a 46 or a 48, but still, to not be able to label their clothes further than a 44 isn't good enough. This particular one is a 34. COS recently introduced 32s because their sizes are so oversized. So I feel like I probably could have done with a 32 had this have been available in a 32 at the time. But the 34 is still fine. I'm quite used to the oversized nature of COS clothing. Not much to shout about in terms of the way the trench looks. It's very, very minimal, as COS always tends to be. There's not a lot going on. It has a flared sleeve and the bottom is slightly flared as well. It's tortoiseshell buttons, there's a vent on the back, and then I will find out the name of this type of detail that all trenches tend to have. And then it has a belt. It has a D-ring belt, which I will touch on in just a moment. But yeah, aside from that, very, very minimal, very sleek, not much going on. In terms of styling, I mean, it's a trench coat, so it is very easy to style. The only thing I found difficult is if the fit is slightly off, I think, on me. As a 5'3" person, I think that this trench is maybe a little bit too long for me and the proportions are slightly off. I had to have the sleeves taken up because they were far too long, and I do think maybe I should have had the bottom taken up a little bit. An interesting detail about this trench actually, which is quite helpful, and it would be nice if more trenches had this, is there's 2 belt loops. So you can wear the belt at 2 different heights. The bottom belt loop for me is too low, so I wear it on the top, but this is where the proportion problem comes into it. I just feel like maybe the trench is a little bit too bottom heavy for my proportion, especially when it's belted up. You'll see in the styling cutaways what I mean. I do often think that maybe this could have been taken up an inch or so, just so it didn't feel so bottom heavy. But aside from that, it is a very, very easy trench to wear. I particularly like wearing trenches in a tonal sense. I love to wear them with white trousers and a cream jumper and like some cream trainers. I really like that whole beigey tonal look from time to time. It's a trench, it goes with pretty much everything. They're not difficult to style. What else can I say about it? Oh, the D-ring belt is a bit of a nuisance. I don't particularly find D-ring belts useful or secure. They always feel like they just come undone really quickly. So I would have preferred if this was a traditional belt. I often tie this rather than using the D-ring, because also when you use the D-ring, there's nowhere for all of the slack to go. You just end up with one really long piece of belt just drooping down. So using the tie method around the waist, that looks better and it feels more secure personally. Oh. The material is 100% cotton, so this is not a waterproof jacket at all. It's quite lightweight, it's a very good one for spring, it's a good one for autumn. It isn't lined, so again, the attention to detail is very, very good. In terms of quality versus price, I do think that they are always quite in line, COS Outerwear. I do think the prices are very good for the quality, and the next coat I talk about will be a testament to that. This was under £100, and I do think that is a very good price for what I got. Would I repurchase if lost or stolen? I don't think I would, and that is because it doesn't excite me enough. It is nice, but it's not exciting enough for me. I don't reach for it enough, and because of the other trench coats I have, I don't feel like I would be that distraught if this one was no longer in my possession anymore. Although I don't physically have this coat anymore, it really deserves a special mention. It's the COS Oversized wool belted coat. I first bought this coat in 2015 and I wore it to death. And I mean that literally. It finally died last year. I wore that coat so much. I absolutely loved it. And that's where I think the quality of COS Outerwear is really good, especially when I compare it to how much I wore the coat versus how long I owned the coat. I mean, it held up really, really well for a high street coat, I think. And since getting rid of it, apart from the Arquette puffer, I no longer have a black coat in my wardrobe. Like, I don't have a black wool casual coat to wear. So I'm very tempted to repurchase it because it was a really, 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 really good coat. I wore it with everything. So yeah, I'm tempted to rebuy that. I felt like it just needed a special mention because I'm sure many of you who have followed me for a long time will remember that coat. I'm sure there's many of you who owned that coat and still own that coat. It was a real COS classic, and I feel like it's a real COS staple. I feel like on the high street they were the first brand to kind of do that style of coat, and it just became such a popular coat. So yeah, maybe I'll repurchase that coat and it will be my black coat. I feel like this next coat has been spoken about quite a lot in recent videos. If you watch the Scotland vlog and then the vlog after that, you will have seen the Barber Bedale. So I'm very sorry if you're bored of me talking about this jacket, but it deserves a mention because it is a very, very good jacket. I have no idea how much I paid for this jacket, and I've been saying to people that I think I bought it about 6 or 7 years ago. That's a lie. I think I bought it 8 or 9 years ago. I was really thinking back to when I would have bought this, and it would have been when I was at university, or maybe just as I graduated. So I think I bought this in 2011 or 2012. So there is a chance that this jacket could be 9 years old. I bought it on eBay. I haven't a clue how much I paid for it, but because of the time in which I bought it, I would have been at uni or just out of uni. So it couldn't have been much more than £100, I don't think. I wouldn't have paid more than £100 for it, no way. So sorry about that. I can't give you much information, and I can't remember how much it retails at brand new, but I highly recommend checking eBay for them. The sizing on this, because it is a men's jacket, it is the, have I just said what it's called? It's called the Classic Bedale. It is a men's style, but the style runs from size 30, which is the chest size, all the way to I think 42 or 44. Might even be bigger than that actually. It might go up to something like 50. But I've gone for chest 32. The fit of it is, so online there's the Bedale Relaxed, and then I think there's the Bedale Fitted or like Bedale Slim. I'm guessing this is the relaxed version. It just says Classic Bedale in the back here, so I'm not 100% sure. Plus this is so old, I'm sure they've changed the fit of this jacket a few times maybe. I don't know, but I'm guessing this is the relaxed fit. It doesn't look oversized, it just looks, you know, like a relaxed jacket basically. It hits me just underneath the hip, and the sleeves are a very good length. All round, even though it's a men's style, the 32 does fit very, very well, I feel. In terms of styling, I mean, I've had this for so long, and it's been really interesting to see how this adapts to my wardrobe and how I make it work with things as my style has changed. When I bought this, I was in a very heavy, would this have been MySpace? No, this had been just after MySpace. NME was probably still around, Alexa Chung was probably still reigning supreme as, you know, the indie queen, like style guru. She was someone I looked up to so much, and I still do. So when I first acquired this, I probably would have styled this in a completely different way. Well, I definitely did style it in a completely different way as to how I style it now. And I must admit, there was a period where I just didn't touch this jacket. I didn't wear it whatsoever and held on to it for nostalgic purposes. And just because it is such a classic, I thought, this will come back around, I will wear it again. And I just couldn't part with it because it fits so well as well. I didn't want to part with something that fit me perfectly, and I'd acquired it for obviously quite cheap. So I kept hold of it, and it's only in the past, I'd say 2 years, that I've pulled it back out again, and it's been really interesting to try and make it work with my current style. And surprisingly, or maybe unsurprisingly, it works. It looks really good with like a pair of tailored trousers. Looks really good with a nice pair of straight jeans and my Dr. Martens. It also, when we went to Scotland, I remember when we went to Edinburgh, I wore it with those wide leg Sandro trousers and my Supergas. So it can work across so many different styles. It's a very versatile jacket, and it's probably the most versatile classic timeless jacket that I own that has just kept going and going and going. Literally whenever it rains, Barbour on, because it's fully waterproof. The colour way that I've got is the brown corduroy colour, and I think this is the sage or the olive, I'm not 100% sure. The outer is 100% wax cotton, the inside is a mix of, you've got like a sort of nylon bit here, and then this is all cotton as well. It's obviously lined with a signature Barbour tartan, as all of their jackets always are. Quality versus price. I mean, even if you bought a Barbour brand new, the price, the quality of it surpasses the price. The quality of a Barbour jacket is, I mean, I think on my last vlog, someone commented saying they've had their Barbour for 22 years, I think it was, and they still wear it all the time. So that's a testament to the quality of a Barbour. And also I forgot to say that mine has a detachable hood, which is very, very handy. And you can buy liners and things that attach to the jackets to make them even more warm. You know, you can get like quilted liners to put inside. Would I repurchase if lost or stolen? Yes, absolutely. I think out of every single coat I own, this would be the one I'd be most upset about if I lost it or it was stolen, because it has a lot of, it's a very sentimental one for me. There's a lot of nostalgia, there's a lot of memories attached to this jacket, and I would be just beside myself if I lost it. So yes, I would 100% repurchase if lost or stolen. This next coat is so heavy. I don't know how I'm going to keep this held up for the next 5 minutes. So this coat is from a brand called Lex Finger Marche. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. They are a South Korean brand. Very, very enigmatic, mysterious. Can't really find much information about the brand. They're one of those Instagram brands that there's just not much information about them. Like, I just couldn't find anything about them. I bought this for how much? £350. I got this last winter. Very limited sizing with this brand, and that tends to be the case with a lot of Asian brands. There will just be sizes SML or extra small/small and then M/L. And obviously that's not good. However, you can see why, as someone who is 5'3" and my frame is quite petite, I am drawn to those brands, because with those brands, they cater for the Asian market. And I don't know if I sound rude saying this, but I do feel like Asian women are more petite. So I can often go to brands like that and know that the clothes are going to fit me a lot better, as opposed to, I guess, more Western brands where leg lengths are far too long and, you know, things like that. There are times where I have shopped brands like this and the clothes have fit me perfectly straight off the hanger. I've wanted this style of coat from other brands for quite a while, but wasn't able to shop this style of coat from other brands because I knew that it would just drown me and it would be far too big. The idea behind buying from a Korean brand was that I would get that same oversized style, but it would be in proportion for me and it would fit me. And it worked. The style is, I guess it's got that slight kind of military style to it, especially with the collar details. It's single-breasted, it's got details on the cuff so you can tighten them. It has a, the strain of trying to lift it up. It has a belt on it has a vent on the back with buttons so you can button up the vent. It has huge, huge deep pockets. It is 100% wool, so it's extremely heavy. It is thick, thick wool. This, yeah, wool is 90%, then you've got nylon 10%, and then the lining is acrylic. So yeah, it's a really heavy coat, but boy does this coat keep me warm. It's such a good winter coat. Quality versus price, I'd say, is really, really good. When a coat feels heavy, you instantly feel like it's good quality, which is true most of the time. I think I love that feeling of like a proper heavy coat, although, I mean, it's probably not great trying to lift it right now, but when you wear it, there is something very comforting and very secure when you're wearing a heavy coat. For $350, you know, that's the kind of price that you'd pay if you went to somewhere like Whistles, or I'm trying to think of a brand that's around that mark. It's that one up from the high street, but it's not quite high end. So I do think the quality of this coat is really, really good in comparison to the price. Styling is relatively easy because it's so oversized, you never really see what's underneath. So the coat does all the talking, it does all the work for you. There's not really any need to think about what is underneath. I've worn it with pretty much everything, and I'm just like, well, the coat's going to do the talking, so why worry what's underneath? I like to wear it with like a crossbody bag. I just find it looks best when it's with a crossbody bag as opposed to a bag on the shoulder. Would I repurchase if lost or stolen? Do you know what? I think I would, because I love the coat. I think it's great. It's not really like anything else I have in my wardrobe. It's definitely the thickest and the heaviest coat I have in my wardrobe. It's my proper, aside from the puffer for when it gets really cold, this is my proper winter coat. So yeah, I would definitely repurchase if lost or stolen. 2 more coats to go. I can do this. It's just started raining, so I'm really sorry if the light's gone a bit dull in this room. This next coat is also from a Korean brand called Diep. D-I-E-P. There is an accent over the E though, so I'm not 100% sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Another brand that is very enigmatic. You go on their Instagram, they're very cool. Not sure how to get in touch with them, that kind of thing. Can't find much information about them, don't know how to shop them. They very kindly got in touch with me and offered to gift this coat. However, I know a few people online who have purchased from the brand and have been very happy with the experience, happy with the coat. So I do think if you just get in touch with the brand, it is quite easy to shop with them. The website's just not quite user friendly unless you're, I guess, in Korea. It's not very friendly if you're here in the UK. It's quite similar to the previous coat in that it's wool, it's very heavy, it's a very, very nice winter coat. I am unsure of the sizing with this brand. I think again it's very, very limited. Some of the things are one size only, which is, I just cannot stand when things are one size fits all. I think it's so problematic. So again, I would have just opted for the smallest size. I'm not sure what that is. The style of this coat is, like I said, kind of similar to the previous one, but it's single-breasted, 2 very deep pockets either side. The outer is wool, and then inside you've got an acrylic lining, which I know some people aren't a huge fan of. I don't mind an acrylic lining too much. The buttons, there's like this is a double flap thing again, so the buttons hide. You can't, like, once it's done up, the buttons are concealed. That's what I'm trying to say. Placket, maybe that's what this is called, a concealed placket. Tie waist belt, slightly flared sleeves, and it's very long. I do worry it's slightly too long for me, maybe. Sometimes when I've styled it, I felt like it's a little too bottom heavy, but I don't mind it too much. I kind of combat that with a chunkier boot to try and like balance things slightly. Annoyingly, because this is now sold out online, I can't remember the exact price, but I think it was around about £180 to £200. So you're looking at, again, that sort of slightly premium high street price. It's a little bit more expensive than COS, not quite as expensive as things you get on Net or Matches. So yeah, it's just slightly a little bit more premium than high street. I personally do think the quality of this is very good for the price. As I previously mentioned, it is quite a heavy coat, which always feels quite nice quality wise. I've had no issues with seams coming undone or any sort of like pilling or snagging, anything like that. Buttons are still all intact. I feel like buttons are always the first thing to go, and such an indication to quality. If a button falls off within like the first few weeks, it's like, well, that's an indication to the quality of the rest of the coat, isn't it? So I don't have a lot to say. I'm not going to dwell on this coat too much. I just wanted to mention it because it is another Korean brand that I am a massive fan of. It seems that I haven't really had any terrible jackets. Like, I haven't really bashed any of my coats. Everything seems to have been quite good. I haven't had any real issues with many of my coats, and I think that's just because I know what I like and I know what to look out for, and as a result have a collection of coats that I really, really love. However, this next coat from Stutterheim does have a few cons, I guess, so that's why I've left it till last, because it's not, I don't really like this coat that much. So it's the Stutterheim Stockholm coat, and it retails for £180. I have had this coat for years. I get so many people ask me about the sizing of this coat because it's a unisex style and the sizing is very, very broad. So instantly that confuses people. I mean, it confused me. I had to go back and forth so many times trying to figure out which size I wanted. It runs from extra, extra, extra small all the way until extra, extra large. I'm wearing an extra, extra small. The jacket is, I mean, it's a very generic fit. It's just a generic straight up and down raincoat fit. There's not much to say about it really. It's got silver hardware, pockets. It has nice drawstring detail for the hood. But apart from that, there's not much going on there. Styling wise, it's quite hard to comment because I must admit I don't wear this jacket unless it's raining. I don't wear this jacket day to day. I only put it on if it's raining. And sometimes, well, more often than not, the barber wins over this. But if it's absolutely torrential, I will put this on. And that will tend to be worn with like jeans and some boots or my DMs. So day to day, I can't really comment on how I'd wear this if this was my everyday jacket. I must admit, I think I would find it difficult to style maybe because it is a rain jacket, but then it is similar to the castle jacket, so maybe it wouldn't be that difficult to incorporate with my current wardrobe. But yeah, it doesn't get worn a lot, so it's I can't really comment on the styling of it. It's 100% PVC, which is great because that makes it waterproof. It has a cotton membrane, you know, it's all bonded together. The rain is not getting in, no matter how hard it tries. The problem with this is though, this jacket is by no means warm. I would never rely on this jacket to keep me warm in the winter. Every time I've worn it, I've had to really layer up underneath because it provides no insulation whatsoever. It blocks the wind, that's for sure, it's quite good for that. The second problem with it is because it is fully waterproof, due to where the jacket hits me, where it stops on my body, the rain just runs off that and just dribbles all onto my trousers. I will wear this coat and I will be completely dry up top, but all of that rain that has just run off this coat just lands on me. And I've spoken to quite a few people about this and they're like, yeah, it seems like I'm just really, really wet after wearing it because the water has nowhere to go. And I think that is down to just due to where it hits on me. Because of where it sits on me, the water just runs and just lands all on my trousers, and that really, really bugs me. So I reach more for the barber than I do for this coat. What else can I say about this coat? Quality versus price, really good. Like, I've had this for years and it is a really good coat for the price. There's a reason why this has become such a iconic classic raincoat, because it's so well crafted and it does the job. Would I repurchase again if lost or stolen? Probably not. I mean, I love just putting it on for when it is pouring with rain, but I only wear it maybe a handful of times a year, so it just wouldn't seem wise to repurchase it. So for that reason, I don't think I would. I think I've chewed your ear off for long enough and it is time to wrap this video up. I'm thinking next maybe trousers or trainers, I'm not sure. I thought about denim, but I don't have a strong enough denim collection, so trousers, trainers. Let me know which one you would like to see next. Thank you so, so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it. I always appreciate the comments, the feedback, the conversation that happens in the comments. Yeah, cannot thank you enough, and I shall see you all in the next one.